Welcome to Daily English Room. Today's topic is sports. Do you play sports regularly?
Yes, I do. I've been playing badminton twice a week for the past few years. It's quite popular in China, and I often play with my colleagues after work. I find it's a great way to stay active, especially since I spend most of my day sitting at a computer.
Yes, I try to stay active despite my busy schedule. I go to a ladies-only gym 3 times a week where I participate in group fitness classes. I also play tennis with my husband on weekends when we can arrange childcare. It's become our special time together.
Actually, I play futsal. It's like indoor football, with other restaurant workers every Sunday morning. In our industry, we work such late hours that this regular Sunday game has become sacred to us. We've formed our own little league with other restaurant staff in the city.
I recently started practicing yoga and jogging. Living in Tokyo means I don't have much space for team sports, but I find these activities help me maintain balance in my life. I usually jog around the Imperial Palace Loop, which is a popular route for runners in Tokyo.
Being a tour guide specializing in adventure tourism means I'm constantly active. I regularly go rock climbing and mountain biking, both for work and pleasure. In winter, I ski at least twice a week. It's practically a requirement when you live in Bled.
Yes, I'm part of my university's track and field team. I run the 400 meters and also participate in relay races. Besides that, I play basketball with my classmates every Wednesday evening. Sports help me clear my mind after long hours of environmental science studies.
What is the most popular sport in your country?
In China, football has become incredibly popular in recent years, with many people following both our national team and international leagues. However, table tennis still holds a special place in our sporting culture. We call it our national sport. It's interesting because even with all our modern technology and new sports gaining popularity, you'll still find table tennis tables in most neighborhoods and parks.
Without a doubt, football is the most popular sport in Morocco. Since our national team's success in the World Cup, its popularity has reached new heights. You can see children playing football in every neighborhood, and matches are major social events. But what's interesting is how it's becoming more inclusive. More women and girls are now playing and following football too.
Football is definitely the most popular sport in Brazil. It's more than just a sport, it's part of our national identity. We call Brazil, O País do Futebol, the country of football. You'll find people playing everywhere, on beaches, in streets, in fancy facilities. Even in my restaurant kitchen, we discuss football matches more than we discuss cooking sometimes.
Baseball has been Japan's most popular sport for many decades. We call it yakkyu here, and it's deeply embedded in our culture. While sports like football and tennis are gaining popularity, baseball still dominates. From school tournaments to professional leagues, the way Japanese people follow baseball reflects our cultural values of teamwork and precision.
In Slovenia, skiing and ski jumping are arguably our most popular sports, especially during winter. We're a small country, but we've produced many champions in these sports. However, basketball has also become incredibly popular, especially since our players started succeeding in international leagues. It's amazing how such a small country can be so passionate about both winter and team sports.
Football is definitely the most popular sport in Brazil. It's more than just a sport, it's part of our national identity. We call Brazil, O País do Futebol, the country of football.
Though we excel in many sports, nothing comes close to football's popularity. It's played in every corner of the country, from sandy fields to modern stadiums.
What's your favorite sport?
My favorite sport is definitely badminton. I love it because it combines quick thinking with physical agility, which suits my analytical mindset as a software engineer. I particularly enjoy the strategic elements. It's like solving a complex coding problem in real time. Plus, it's a great way to stay active despite my desk job.
Tennis is my absolute favorite sport. I started playing after getting married, and now it's become a wonderful way to stay active and socialize. What I love most about tennis is that it's both mentally and physically challenging. As a teacher, I appreciate how it helps me maintain focus and quick decision-making skills.
While football is in every Brazilian's blood, my favorite sport is actually futsal. It's like a faster, more intense version of football that's perfect for urban areas. As a chef, I appreciate how it requires quick thinking and precise movements, similar to working in a busy kitchen. The fast pace and technical skills really appeal to me.
I'm particularly fond of yoga, if that counts as a sport. It helps me maintain balance in my busy life as a graphic designer. But in terms of traditional sports, I really enjoy watching figure skating. The combination of athleticism and artistry really speaks to my creative side. It's like watching a beautiful design come to life through movement.
Rock climbing is my favorite sport, which probably isn't surprising given my work as an adventure tour guide. I love how it combines physical challenge with problem-solving skills. Each route is like a puzzle you have to solve with your whole body. The connection with nature and the constant need to stay focused really appeals to me.
Track and field, specifically the 400 meters, is my favorite sport. As an environmental science student, I love how running connects you with your environment. There's something pure about testing your limits against time and distance. I also love the team aspect when we compete in relays.
Do you often watch sports on TV?
Yes, I frequently watch badminton tournaments and esports competitions on streaming platforms. Being in tech, I actually prefer watching on my tablet or phone because I can access real-time statistics and multiple camera angles. I especially enjoy watching major international tournaments where Chinese athletes compete.
I watch football matches, especially when Morocco's national team is playing. Since the World Cup, my whole family has gotten into the habit of watching matches together. It's become a valuable teaching tool too. I often use sports broadcasts to help my students practice their English listening skills.
Absolutely. In my restaurant, we always have football matches playing on our TVs. I watch both Brazilian championship games and international leagues. During major tournaments, we organize special viewing events with themed menus. I also enjoy watching cooking shows that feature athletes' diets and nutrition.
I mainly watch major sporting events like the Olympics and World Cup. Being a graphic designer, I'm actually more interested in the visual presentation and branding of sports broadcasts. I occasionally watch sumo tournaments, especially during the major basho tournaments, as it's such an important part of our cultural heritage.
I mostly watch winter sports on TV, especially skiing and ski jumping. These are huge in Slovenia, and watching competitions helps me stay updated for my tourism work. During the winter season, I never miss a World Cup skiing event. It's almost part of my job to keep up with these competitions.
I regularly watch athletics competitions on TV and streaming platforms. As someone involved in track and field, I study professional athletes' techniques. I also follow football, especially when Nigerian teams are playing. Recently, I've become interested in watching documentaries about sports and environmental sustainability.
Do you prefer playing sports or watching them?
I definitely prefer playing sports, particularly badminton. As a software engineer, I spend most of my days sitting and thinking, so active participation in sports gives me necessary physical movement. When you're coding, you're always hands-on and involved, and I like having that same level of engagement in my sports activities.
I enjoy both, but for different reasons. Playing tennis gives me personal satisfaction and helps me stay active, which is important as a teacher who needs to keep up with energetic students. Watching sports, especially with my children, creates valuable teaching moments about teamwork and perseverance. If I had to choose, I'd say playing, because it helps me be a better role model for my students.
Playing, without a doubt. As a chef, I'm used to being actively involved in creating things, and sports are no different. While I enjoy watching matches with my restaurant customers, nothing beats the feeling of playing futsal with friends after a long day in the kitchen. It's about being part of the action rather than just observing it.
I actually prefer watching sports. As a graphic designer, I'm fascinated by the visual composition of different sports, the movements, the formations, the overall flow of the game. I enjoy analyzing how different sports are presented and broadcast. That said, I do practice yoga regularly, but that's more for personal wellness than competitive sport.
Definitely playing. As an adventure tour guide, I believe in active participation rather than passive observation. Whether it's climbing, skiing, or hiking, being physically involved in the sport connects you with nature and your own capabilities in a way that watching never can. Although I do watch winter sports to stay informed for my work.
I strongly prefer playing sports, especially running track. When you're actually participating, you not only get the physical benefits but also experience the direct connection with your environment. As an environmental science student, I value this direct interaction with the world around me. While watching sports can be educational, nothing compares to the feeling of personal achievement in competition.
Are there any sports you don't like? Why?
I'm not particularly fond of boxing or similar combat sports. As someone who works with creating and building things, I find it difficult to watch sports focused on striking opponents. I understand the skill and strategy involved, but I prefer sports that emphasize technique and precision without direct physical confrontation. That's probably why I'm more drawn to sports like badminton.
I have a hard time with extreme sports like skateboarding or BMX. As a mother and teacher, I'm probably overly conscious of injury risks. While I admire the athlete's skills, I get anxious watching these high-risk activities. I prefer sports where the challenge comes from strategy and technique rather than physical danger.
I struggle with golf. Maybe it's because I'm used to the fast-paced environment of a kitchen and Brazilian sports culture, but I find it too slow and repetitive. I respect the skill involved, but I need more energy and dynamics in my sports. Also, the exclusive nature of golf clubs doesn't align with my belief that sports should be accessible to everyone.
I'm not very interested in American football. The frequent stops and complex rules make it hard for me to follow, and as a designer, I find the visual flow of the game quite fragmented. I prefer sports with more continuous movement and clearer visual narratives, like figure skating or football.
I don't particularly enjoy esports. As someone who spends their life guiding outdoor adventures, I find it difficult to consider competitive gaming as a sport. While I respect the strategic thinking and reflexes required, I believe sports should include physical movement and connection with the natural environment.
I'm not a fan of sports that have a heavy environmental impact, like motor racing. As an environmental science student, I'm concerned about the carbon footprint of these events. While I appreciate the engineering achievements, I believe sports should promote environmental sustainability rather than contribute to climate change.
In the tech industry, where burnout is common, I found badminton to be my stress relief valve. The focus required during a game helps clear my mind of coding problems, and the social aspect of playing with colleagues helps build better work relationships. Many tech companies in China now recognize that encouraging sports activities can improve employee mental health and productivity.
As both a teacher and mother, I've observed how sports help children develop emotional resilience. When children learn to handle winning and losing in sports, they develop coping mechanisms that serve them well in other areas of life. I've particularly noticed how team sports help my more introverted students build confidence and social skills. It's not just about physical exercise, it's about creating a safe space for emotional expression.
Working in a high-pressure kitchen environment, I understand the importance of physical activity for mental balance. Playing futsal helps me release the stress of long working hours, and the team spirit reminds me of kitchen camaraderie. I've noticed that my staff who play sports regularly handle pressure better during busy service times. It's like training your mind to stay calm under pressure.
In Japan, where mental health issues often go unaddressed, sports provide a socially acceptable way to manage stress. My morning yoga routine helps me maintain creativity in my design work. I've also noticed how solo sports like jogging give people necessary alone time to process thoughts and emotions. It's interesting how different types of sports can serve different emotional needs.
Adventure sports have a unique way of building mental resilience. When guiding climbing trips, I see how overcoming physical challenges helps people develop confidence and overcome fears. The mountain environment naturally promotes mindfulness. You have to stay present and focused. I've witnessed how regular outdoor activity can help people manage anxiety and depression, though it's important to balance challenge with safety.
As a university student dealing with academic pressure, track and field has become my emotional outlet. The rhythmic nature of running helps clear my mind, and the team environment provides crucial social support. In my environmental studies, we examine how access to sports facilities correlates with community mental health. It's crucial that we make these mental health benefits accessible to everyone, regardless of their background.
What role should sports play in promoting public health?
From a tech perspective, I've seen how health apps and wearable devices are making the connection between sports and public health more tangible. In China, many companies now integrate exercise into the workday after seeing data about improved employee health. I've helped develop workplace wellness apps that gamify physical activity, turning daily exercise into a fun challenge. The key is making health metrics accessible and understandable to everyone.
As an educator, I believe schools should be at the forefront of using sports to promote public health. In Morocco, we're seeing more initiatives combining traditional games with health education. I teach my students about nutrition alongside physical activities, and I've noticed they're more likely to share this information with their families. However, we need more resources, especially in rural areas, to make sports facilities accessible to all communities.
As a chef, I see a natural connection between sports and healthy eating habits. In Brazil, many public health campaigns use popular athletes to promote better nutrition. In my restaurant, we've partnered with local sports clubs to create healthy menu options that support active lifestyles. I believe sports venues should set better examples by offering healthier food choices instead of just traditional fast food.
Japan's approach to public health through sports is quite unique, with radio calisthenics being broadcast nationwide every morning. As a graphic designer, I've worked on public health campaigns that use sports icons to promote preventive healthcare.
In adventure tourism, we often emphasize how outdoor sports contribute to both physical and mental health. Slovenia's public health initiatives heavily promote outdoor activities like hiking and cycling. As a tour guide, I've noticed that people who regularly participate in outdoor sports tend to maintain healthier lifestyles overall. We need to make these activities more accessible while ensuring they remain environmentally sustainable.
From an environmental science perspective, promoting sports for public health must consider environmental factors. In Nigeria, we need better urban planning to create safe spaces for physical activity. Many people want to exercise but face challenges like air pollution or lack of green spaces. I believe public health initiatives should combine sports promotion with environmental awareness and infrastructure improvement.
How do you think the relationship between sports and education should be balanced?
In China, there's often pressure to focus solely on academics, but I believe this needs to change. From my experience in tech, I've noticed that employees who played sports in school tend to have better teamwork and problem-solving skills. Physical activity actually helped me think more clearly during my programming studies. I think we need a system that recognizes sports as complementary to academic achievement, not competing with it.
As both a teacher and a mother, this question is particularly relevant to me. I've seen how physical education can improve students' concentration and academic performance. In Morocco, we're trying to change the mindset that sports are a distraction from studies. I incorporate movement breaks in my English lessons, and I've noticed it helps students retain information better. However, we need better infrastructure and training to properly integrate sports into education.
In Brazil, we sometimes go to the other extreme, where talented young athletes might neglect their education to pursue sports careers. As someone who played football but eventually found my passion in cooking, I understand the importance of having a balanced education.
The Japanese education system is known for its intense academic focus, but there's growing recognition of the importance of sports. In my design work with schools, I've seen a shift toward creating spaces that encourage both physical and mental development. I think we need to design educational environments that seamlessly integrate both activities, similar to how we approach user experience design, creating a natural flow between different types of learning.
In Slovenia, we have a strong tradition of integrating outdoor activities into education. As a tour guide, I often work with school groups, combining physical activities with learning about nature and environmental science. I believe this approach helps students understand theoretical concepts through practical experience. Sports shouldn't be seen as just a break from learning but as a different form of education.
From my experience as a university student, I've seen how sports scholarships can create educational opportunities. However, we need better systems to support student athletes academically. In my environmental science studies, I've found that my athletic discipline helps me maintain focus during long research sessions. Universities should recognize that sports develop valuable skills like time management and resilience that benefit academic performance.
How has social media changed the way people engage with sports?
Working in tech, I've witnessed firsthand how social media has transformed sports consumption. Apps like WeChat and Douyin have created new ways for fans to interact with sports content. Short-form videos of training tips and highlight reels have made sports more accessible. However, the challenge is managing misinformation. As a software engineer, I see how quickly false sports news can spread through algorithms.
Social media has made it easier for my students to connect with international sports culture. They follow their favorite athletes on Instagram and learn English through their posts. As a teacher, I use sports-related social media content in my lessons. However, I also have to teach critical thinking skills because social media can create unrealistic expectations about athletic achievement.
In the restaurant business, we've noticed how social media has changed how people watch sports. Customers want to post about their experience watching games, share food photos during matches, and participate in online discussions. Athletes sharing their diet and nutrition on social media has also influenced what customers order. Everyone wants to eat like their favorite athletes now.
As a graphic designer, I've seen social media transform sports visual content. We now design specifically for different platforms: Instagram stories, TikTok, Twitter. The rise of behind-the-scenes content has changed how fans connect with athletes. In Japan, even traditional sports like sumo have had to adapt to social media culture, though they maintain a balance with traditional values.
Social media has revolutionized adventure sports tourism. People choose destinations based on Instagram photos, and athletes share their experiences in real time. As a tour guide, I've had to adapt my services because clients want their adventures to be social media worthy. While this has brought more attention to our beautiful locations, it sometimes concerns me that people focus more on getting the perfect photo than experiencing the moment.
Social media has been crucial for raising awareness about African sports and athletes. It's given us a platform to share our stories globally. In my environmental activism, I've seen how athletes use social media to promote sustainability in sports. However, we need to be mindful of the digital divide. Not everyone has equal access to these platforms, which can create information gaps in sports communities.
How do most people in your country keep fit?
In China, there's a beautiful mix of traditional and modern fitness approaches. Many older people practice Tai Chi or Qigong in parks early in the morning, while younger generations prefer modern gyms. Public parks have free exercise equipment, which is very popular. In the tech community, we're seeing a trend of using fitness apps and smart devices to track health goals. Square dancing, or Guangchang Wu, is also incredibly popular, especially among middle-aged and elderly people.
In Morocco, fitness habits are evolving. Traditional hammams, public baths, have always been part of our health culture, but now we're seeing more modern gyms, especially in cities like Fez. Walking is very common, particularly in the Medinas, old cities, with their narrow streets. Women-only gyms are becoming popular, making it easier for women to exercise while respecting cultural norms. Young people often organize group sports in neighborhood courts or fields.
Brazilians love outdoor activities. The beach culture in places like Salvador promotes natural fitness, swimming, beach volleyball, and running along the shore. Dancing is also a huge part of our fitness culture, whether it's samba, capoeira, or just dancing at social gatherings. Gym culture is big in cities, but there's also a strong trend of outdoor exercise groups in public parks. Many people also cycle or play football regularly with friends.
In Japan, fitness is often integrated into daily life. Many people commute by bicycle or walking. Radio calisthenics, Ragio Taiso, is still practiced at schools and some workplaces. There's a big running culture here in Tokyo, and you'll see many people running around parks like the Imperial Palace. Fitness clubs are popular among young professionals, but traditional martial arts dojos also attract many people looking to stay fit.
Slovenians are very outdoor-oriented when it comes to fitness. Hiking is extremely popular. We joke that it's our national hobby. Many people cycle, both for commuting and recreation. In winter, skiing is a common way to stay active. Our beautiful natural environment encourages outdoor activities. There's also a strong tradition of group sports in local communities, and many towns have public sports facilities that are well used.
In Nigeria, staying fit often combines traditional and modern approaches. Many young people join gyms in urban areas, but traditional dance and games remain popular ways to stay active. Football is played everywhere, serving as both entertainment and exercise. In universities like mine, sports facilities are well used, and group exercises are popular. Walking is common, especially in residential areas, and many people participate in community sports events.
How have traditional sports in your country adapted to modern times?
Traditional Chinese martial arts have evolved significantly. Many schools now combine traditional kung fu with modern fitness techniques. They use technology for training analysis and even offer online classes. It's fascinating to see ancient practices adapt to the digital age.
In Morocco, traditional horseback riding sports like Fantasia are now being preserved through annual festivals and tourism events. While they were once part of military training, they've become cultural showcases that attract international visitors.
Capoeira in Brazil has transformed from a hidden martial art to a global phenomenon. Modern capoeira schools incorporate fitness elements and even use apps to track movements. It's beautiful to see this evolution while maintaining its cultural essence.
Sumo in Japan now has international wrestlers and uses modern training facilities. The tournaments are broadcast live on streaming platforms, and there are even sumo-inspired fitness programs in gyms.
Traditional shepherd games in Slovenia have become competitive sports events. We've standardized the rules and created annual championships, making them more accessible to younger generations.
Traditional Nigerian wrestling has adapted by incorporating modern weight categories and safety rules. Some communities now organize tournaments that combine traditional ceremonies with modern sport management.
What impact do you think virtual reality will have on sports in the future?
As a software engineer, I'm excited about VR's potential. I've already seen applications where you can practice basketball shots or analyze your table tennis technique in virtual environments. It could revolutionize how we train.
VR could make sports more accessible to my students, especially those with physical limitations. They could experience different sports and learn techniques safely before trying them in reality.
In Brazil, some football academies are already using VR for tactical training. I think it will help players visualize plays better and could even make sports training more affordable for underprivileged communities.
From a designer's perspective, VR could create new hybrid sports combining physical and virtual elements. I've seen prototypes where people compete in real time across different countries.
While I prefer real outdoor experiences, VR could help people prepare for adventure sports safely. Imagine practicing rock climbing routes virtually before attempting them in reality.
VR could help us train during extreme weather conditions. In Nigeria, we could continue practice during the rainy season using virtual environments.
How do you think sports facilities in cities should evolve to meet future needs?
In Shenzhen, we need more multi-purpose facilities that can be used for different sports. Smart buildings that can transform spaces based on needs would be ideal for our dense urban environment.
Fez needs more family-friendly sports facilities. I envision centers where parents can exercise while their children participate in age-appropriate activities. Also, we need more women-only spaces respecting our cultural preferences.
Salvador should develop more rooftop sports facilities. With limited ground space, we could utilize building tops for small courts and fitness areas. Also, incorporating sustainable design would be great.
Tokyo's sports facilities should be more integrated with public transportation hubs. We could have mini fitness stations and subway stations for quick workouts during commutes.
In Bled, we should focus on developing indoor-outdoor hybrid facilities that can be used year-round, regardless of weather conditions. This would support our tourism industry too.
Lagos needs more sustainable sports facilities that can operate off-grid using solar power. We should also incorporate water recycling systems for swimming pools and field maintenance.
What role should sports play in addressing social issues?
As someone working in tech, I believe sports programs can help address the issue of screen addiction. In China, we need more initiatives that encourage young people to balance digital life with physical activity.
Sports can be a powerful tool for promoting gender equality in Morocco. When my female students see successful women athletes, it challenges traditional limitations and opens new possibilities.
In Brazil, sports programs have helped reduce crime rates in underprivileged areas. I support using sports as a way to provide opportunities and direction to young people.
Sports could help address Japan's issues with social isolation. Team sports especially can create connections in our increasingly digital society.
In Slovenia, sports tourism helps support rural economies and prevents village depopulation. It creates jobs and preserves traditional ways of life.
Sports can unite people across Nigeria's diverse ethnic groups. When we play together, we focus on teamwork rather than differences.
How can sports events become more environmentally sustainable?
In China, we're seeing more eco-friendly marathons using biodegradable water cups and solar-powered timing systems. Technology can help make events more sustainable while maintaining quality.
Morocco hosted several sporting events that used local, sustainable materials for temporary facilities. We should continue this practice and add water conservation measures.
Brazilian beach sports events are starting to include ocean cleanup activities. We could expand this to make environmental awareness a key part of all sporting events.
Japanese sporting venues are experimenting with renewable energy and waste reduction systems. I think all facilities should adopt these practices.
In Slovenia, we're promoting leave no trace principles in outdoor sports. Events should have a positive environmental impact, perhaps by incorporating conservation activities.
Nigerian sports events could use more locally sourced materials and focus on reducing plastic waste. We should also consider hosting more events during cooler months to reduce energy use.
How has sports tourism affected your local community?
Shenzhen hosts major tech sports events like e-sports tournaments, bringing visitors interested in both technology and competitive gaming. It's created new business opportunities in the city.
In Fez, traditional sports events attract cultural tourists. This has helped preserve our heritage while creating jobs in the tourism sector.
Salvador's beaches attract surfing enthusiasts year-round, which has boosted local restaurants and hotels. It's helped create a vibrant coastal culture.
Kamakura has seen an increase in sports tourism related to the Olympics. Many visitors now come to try traditional Japanese sports, which has revitalized local businesses.
Sports tourism is Bled's lifeblood. From rowing to winter sports, it brings year-round visitors and has helped maintain our traditional mountain culture.
In Lagos, hosting regional sports competitions has improved our infrastructure and created jobs. It's also helped showcase our culture to visitors.
Tell me about a memorable sports event you attended or watched. What made it special?
I'll never forget watching the 2008 Beijing Olympics opening ceremony in person. I was still a student then, and my family was lucky enough to get tickets. The scale of the performance was breathtaking. Thousands of drummers moving in perfect synchronization, the incredible light shows, and the proud feeling of seeing our country showcase its culture to the world. But what really touched me was watching the elderly couple sitting next to us. They had tears in their eyes during the ceremony. They told us they never imagined seeing such an event in their lifetime. That human connection made the whole experience even more meaningful.
The most memorable sports event for me was watching Morocco's national team in the 2022 World Cup. My whole family gathered at my parents' house, along with neighbors and friends. The atmosphere was electric. Every time our team scored, the entire neighborhood would erupt in cheers. We were dressed in national team jerseys, and my mother cooked traditional Moroccan dishes for everyone. What made it truly special wasn't just the historic performance of our team, but how it brought together different generations. My father was telling stories about watching Morocco play in the 1970s, while my children were learning our traditional football chants. It became about so much more than just football. It was a celebration of our culture and unity.
The most incredible sports event I experienced was the 2014 World Cup semifinal between Brazil and Germany, though not for happy reasons. I was working at my restaurant, but we had set up big screens for customers. The atmosphere started so jubilant, with everyone singing and celebrating. But as Germany scored goal after goal, the mood changed dramatically. What stands out wasn't the defeat itself, but how people came together afterward. Customers who were strangers before were consoling each other, sharing stories of other victories and defeats. We ended up staying open late into the night, serving comfort food and talking about how we would bounce back. It taught me how sports can bring people together, not just in victory but also in defeat.
A few years ago, I attended a sumo tournament in Tokyo that I'll never forget. I'd been commissioned to design some promotional materials for the event, so I got special access to areas usually closed to the public. What amazed me wasn't just the matches, but all the ancient rituals and traditions that happen behind the scenes. I watched the wrestlers performing centuries-old ceremonies before their matches. One young wrestler explained to me the meaning behind each ritual, the significance of their top knots, even the spiritual importance of salt throwing. It completely changed my perspective on sumo. I realized it's not just a sport, but a living piece of Japanese cultural heritage.
As a tour guide, I've witnessed many sporting events, but the most memorable was during a ski jumping competition at Planaka, our famous ski flying venue. It was a perfect winter day with fresh snow and blue skies. I was guiding a group of international tourists who had never seen ski jumping before. Watching their reactions as jumpers soared through the air was incredible. Their gasps of amazement, their questions about how it was even possible. During breaks, we shared mulled wine and local specialties, and I taught him traditional Slovenian cheering songs. By the end of the day, these tourists from different countries were singing together in Slovenian. It really showed me how sports can break down cultural barriers.
Last year, I participated in organizing an inter-university sports festival focused on traditional African games. We had teams from different parts of Nigeria and even some neighboring countries. What made it truly special was how we combined traditional sports with environmental awareness. My passion as an environmental science student. Before each game, elders would explain the game's history and its connection to our natural environment. We played Ayo under ancient trees, had wrestling matches on sustainable mats made from recycled materials, and organized a cleanup competition between teams. The event went viral on social media, with many young people suddenly interested in learning about traditional sports. It showed me how we can preserve our cultural heritage while addressing modern concerns.
What's the most unusual or interesting sport you've ever tried? How was that experience?
Being a software engineer, people are usually surprised when I tell them about my experience with dragon boat racing. It started when our company formed a team for a local technology company's competition. At first, I was skeptical. I spend most of my time with computers, not paddles. The training was intense. We had to learn to paddle in perfect synchronization, which is harder than any coding problem I faced. We practiced at dawn before work, and I can't count how many times we nearly capsized. The most interesting part was how it changed our team dynamics at work. When you've been soaking wet in a boat at 5 a.m. with your project manager, somehow those code review meetings become much less intimidating. We didn't win the competition, but we did manage not to finish last, which felt like a huge victory. Now, 3 years later, several of us still meet up for recreational dragon boating on weekends.
As a teacher and mother, I'm usually quite cautious, so everyone was shocked when I tried parkour. It happened during a teacher training workshop about engaging students in physical education. The instructor was a professional parkour athlete who specialized in teaching beginners. At first, I was terrified. Jumping between obstacles and climbing walls seemed impossible for someone like me. But they started us with basic movements, teaching us how to fall safely and move efficiently. The most surprising thing was how it changed my perspective on urban spaces. Now when I walk through Fez with my children, we see the city differently. Stairs become opportunities for movement, walls become challenges to overcome safely. I've even incorporated some modified parkour movements into my physical education classes, especially for students who don't enjoy traditional sports. It's amazing to see how it builds confidence, especially in girls who might be hesitant about sports.
The most unusual sport I've tried was underwater hockey. Yes, it actually exists. A customer at my restaurant was a coach and convinced me to try it. As a chef, I'm used to high-pressure situations, but playing a hockey-like game while holding your breath is a whole different kind of pressure. You wear snorkel gear, and the puck is heavy lead that slides along the pool bottom. The most challenging part wasn't the swimming or the game itself, but learning to communicate with teammates underwater. We had to develop hand signals for different plays. It was fascinating how it connected to my work as a chef. Both require precise teamwork without much verbal communication. I only played for a few months, but it gave me a whole new appreciation for non-traditional sports. Now I occasionally create special menu items inspired by unusual sports, like my underwater hockey energy bowl.
As a graphic designer, I'm always looking for unique experiences that can inspire my work. The strangest sport I've tried was definitely human Tetris. It's this crazy Japanese game show concept turned into a recreational sport where you have to contort your body to fit through weird-shaped holes and approaching walls, just like the video game Tetris. My design studio participated in a corporate tournament, and it was hilarious and challenging. The most interesting part was how it changed my understanding of spatial awareness and human movement, concepts that are crucial in design. I actually ended up using some of the insights in a project designing wayfinding systems for a children's museum. The experience taught me that sometimes the most valuable professional insights come from completely unexpected places. Plus, I gained a reputation as the most flexible designer in the office.
Being a tour guide in Slovenia, I've tried many adventure sports, but the most unusual was definitely bog snorkeling. It's not native to Slovenia. I tried it while on a professional exchange in Wales. Imagine swimming through a peat bog, murky water with nearly zero visibility, using only a snorkel and flippers. You can't use regular swimming strokes. You have to propel yourself forward without breaking the surface. The water was freezing, and everything was dark brown. The funny thing is, it actually helped me develop a new tour concept back home in Slovenia, combining traditional peat bog conservation with adventure sports. Now I offer bog walking tours, not swimming, where tourists learn about the ecosystem while having an adventure. Sometimes the strangest experiences lead to the best innovations in my work.
The most unusual sport I've tried combined my passion for environmental science with athletics. It's called plogging, which means picking up litter while jogging. I discovered it through an environmental club at my university. At first, I thought it sounded a bit strange, but it's surprisingly challenging and rewarding. You have to wear gloves and carry a biodegradable trash bag, and there are actually techniques for safely picking up trash while maintaining your running form. We turned it into a competition, points for distance covered, trash collected, and proper waste sorting. The most interesting part was how it changed people's perceptions of both exercise and environmental action. We started with 5 people, and now we have over 100 students who regularly participate. We've even developed an app to track our impact. So far, we've collected over 2,000 kilograms of litter while running a combined 3,000 kilometers. It's shown me how sports can be a powerful tool for environmental activism.
If you could create a new sport that combines elements from your culture and profession, what would it be like?
As a software engineer from China, I create something called Code Tai Chi. Imagine combining the mindful movements of Tai Chi with programming concepts. Players would move through a series of flowing positions, each representing different programming functions or algorithms. For example, a for loop might be a circular movement, while an if statement could be a branching motion. Teams would have to work together to debug their routine by identifying and correcting wrong movements. I'd incorporate traditional Chinese elements like the concept of yin and yang to represent binary code. The best part would be the mental-physical connection. You'd be exercising both your body and coding logic simultaneously. I actually started experimenting with this idea during our company's wellness program, and surprisingly, it's helped some colleagues better understand complex programming concepts.
I'd create what I call Language League, a sport that combines traditional Moroccan children's games with language learning. As an ESL teacher and mother, I see how movement helps children remember new words and concepts. Players would move through a course inspired by our Medina's winding streets, performing different linguistic tasks at each station. For example, they might play hopscotch while conjugating verbs, or do our traditional jumping rope games while building sentences. I'd incorporate elements from our Moroccan heritage, like using geometric patterns from our mosaics to organize playing zones. Teams would score points for both physical performance and language accuracy. The beauty of it is that it could be adapted for any language. I've already tried a simplified version with my students, and it's amazing how much better they retain vocabulary when it's combined with movement.
Being a Brazilian chef, I developed culinary capoeira, a combination of our traditional martial art dance and competitive cooking. Participants would have to prepare dishes while incorporating capoeira movements. Imagine chefs doing the ginga, basic capoeira step, while stirring, or incorporating acrobatic moves while moving between cooking stations. We'd use traditional Brazilian ingredients and cooking methods, but with a twist. Some ingredients would be placed at different heights, requiring specific capoeira moves to reach them. The rhythm of the berimbau, traditional capoeira instrument, would set time limits for different cooking stages. I've actually tested a mini version of this during a food festival, and while it was chaotic, it was incredibly entertaining and really showcased both our culinary and athletic culture.
As a graphic designer in Japan, I'd create Design Dojo, a sport that combines elements of traditional Japanese martial arts with principles of design. Competitors would face off in an arena where they have to create designs while moving through kata-like sequences. Each movement would correspond to different design elements. A sweeping kick might create a curve, while a punch could place a strong focal point. We'd use motion tracking technology to capture the movements and translate them into digital designs. The sport would emphasize the Japanese concept of negative space, both in movement and design. Scoring would be based on both technical execution of movements and the aesthetic quality of the resulting design. I actually created a small-scale prototype using VR technology, and it's fascinating to see how different movements create different design styles.
As a Slovenian tour guide, I'd create Alpine Adventure Orienteering. It would combine our traditional mountain sports with storytelling and cultural preservation. Participants would navigate through our alpine terrain, but instead of just finding checkpoints, they'd have to locate and learn about specific cultural landmarks, traditional farming techniques, and local legends. They'd use both modern GPS technology and traditional navigation methods. At each point, they'd learn a piece of local history or culture and have to incorporate it into their journey, maybe learning a traditional shepherding technique or identifying local herbs. I'd include elements of our mountain rescue traditions too. The sport would have different categories for different ability levels, and teams would score points for both physical performance and cultural knowledge. I've tested parts of this concept with tourist groups, and it's amazing how it makes our cultural heritage more engaging.
As an environmental science student from Nigeria, I'd develop Eco Warriors Challenge, a sport combining traditional Nigerian games with environmental conservation. Players would compete in teams using modified versions of our traditional games like AEO and Suwa, hopscotch, but with an environmental twist. For example, they might play AEO using seeds that they later plant, or do Suwa patterns that teach about ecosystem relationships. The course would include challenges like sorting recyclables while performing traditional dance moves, or using our traditional fishing techniques to clean waterways. Teams would earn points for both athletic performance and environmental impact. We'd incorporate indigenous knowledge about conservation and sustainable practices. I've already organized a small version at my university's environmental club, and it's incredible how it makes environmental action more exciting and culturally relevant.
Tell me about a time when sports helped you overcome a personal challenge or difficult situation.
When I first moved to Shenzhen for my software engineering job, I felt incredibly isolated. The city is huge, and spending long hours coding can be quite solitary. I was struggling with the transition from university life to corporate work, often staying late at the office and barely interacting with anyone outside of work meetings. Everything changed when I joined the company's basketball team. At first, I was hesitant. I hadn't played seriously since high school. But the team welcomed me, and soon we were practicing twice a week. Basketball gave me a reason to leave my desk at a reasonable time, and the physical activity helped clear my mind after long days of coding. More importantly, it helped me build relationships outside of work discussions. There was this one game where I made a crucial three-pointer in the last minute. The celebration afterward made me feel truly part of the community for the first time. Now, 3 years later, some of my closest friends in Shenzhen are from that basketball team. We even started a weekend coding club where we teach kids programming, and many of them are children of my basketball teammates.
As a mother and teacher in Morocco, I faced a significant challenge when trying to return to work after having my second child. I was feeling overwhelmed, trying to balance my teaching career with family responsibilities, and honestly, I was struggling with postpartum depression, though it took me a while to recognize it. A colleague suggested joining her women's swimming group, and though I was skeptical at first, finding time seemed impossible, I decided to try it. The women's only swimming sessions at our local pool became my sanctuary. Swimming helped me reconnect with my body after pregnancy, and the rhythmic movement of the water had an almost meditative effect. But the most valuable part was the community of women I met there. Many were also working mothers, and we started sharing our experiences and supporting each other. One particular morning, after a rough night with my baby, I was ready to quit teaching. But during our swim, another mother shared her similar experience and how she got through it. That conversation gave me the strength to continue. Now, 5 years later, I not only continue swimming but have started a support group for working mothers at my school, and we often incorporate physical activity into our meetings.
The biggest challenge I faced was after my restaurant nearly failed during its first year. The stress was overwhelming. I wasn't sleeping, my blood pressure was high, and I was taking my frustration out on my staff. A regular customer, who happened to be a football coach, noticed my situation and invited me to join their amateur league. At first, I laughed it off. I was working 14-hour days, how could I possibly find time for football? But he persisted, saying I needed an outlet. Finally, I agreed to try just one session. That first game was horrible. I was out of shape and could barely keep up. But for those 90 minutes, I wasn't thinking about the restaurant's problems. I started playing regularly, and something interesting happened. The discipline and team coordination in football helped me rethink how I manage my restaurant. I learned to delegate more, trust my team, and maintain better work-life balance. 6 months later, not only was I in better shape physically and mentally, but my restaurant's atmosphere had completely changed. We now even host post-game dinners for the football league, and some of my teammates have become investors in my new restaurant venture.
Working as a graphic designer in Tokyo's competitive industry led me to develop severe anxiety. The pressure to be creative on demand, meet tight deadlines, and constantly produce innovative work was exhausting. I started having panic attacks before client meetings and would spend sleepless nights obsessing over projects. Everything changed when a friend convinced me to try rock climbing at an indoor gym. Initially, I was terrified. I'm not naturally athletic, and the heights scared me. But I discovered that climbing requires complete focus. You can't worry about work deadlines when you're figuring out your next hold. The progression system in climbing, starting from easy routes and gradually tackling harder ones, taught me how to break down overwhelming challenges into manageable steps. This directly translated to how I approach design projects now. There was this one particularly challenging route that took me weeks to complete. When I finally made it to the top, I realized I had developed a new kind of confidence. Now, whenever I feel overwhelmed with a design project, I go climbing. The climbing community has also become a valuable network. I've even gotten several freelance design projects from fellow climbers.
5 years ago, I faced a crisis in my career as a tour guide when I developed a fear of heights, quite problematic when you specialize in mountain tourism in Slovenia. It started after a minor accident during a hike. Though I wasn't seriously injured, I found myself freezing up on even slightly elevated trails. I was close to giving up my career until another guide suggested I try indoor climbing therapy. A controlled environment to face my fear. The process was incredibly challenging. I started on the lowest, easiest walls, sometimes unable to go more than a few feet up. What made the difference was the methodical approach, learning about safety equipment, understanding climbing techniques, and gradually building trust in myself and the gear. There was a breakthrough moment when I realized I was so focused on solving a challenging route that I'd forgotten to be afraid. It took almost a year, but through climbing, I not only overcame my fear but gained a deeper understanding of how to help others face their own challenges. Now, I've incorporated these lessons into my tours, specializing in helping people overcome their fears of heights while exploring our beautiful mountains. Some of my most rewarding moments are when clients tell me they conquered their own fears through my guidance.
My first year at university studying environmental science was incredibly challenging. Coming from a different part of Nigeria to Lagos, I struggled with the cultural differences and academic pressure. I felt like an outsider and was close to dropping out. Everything changed when I joined the university's volleyball team. At first, I was just looking for any distraction from my struggles, but volleyball became much more than that. The team's diversity was amazing, players from different ethnic groups and backgrounds, all working together. There was this crucial match where we were losing badly, and during a timeout, each team member started speaking in their local dialect, encouraging each other. Instead of causing confusion, it became our strength. We rallied together and won the game. This experience completely changed my perspective on diversity and unity. I started applying this thinking to my environmental science studies, particularly in understanding how different communities approach environmental challenges. Now, I'm leading a project that combines sports programs with environmental education in diverse communities across Lagos. The confidence and leadership skills I developed through volleyball have been crucial in this work.
Looking ahead 20 years, how do you hope sports will have evolved to make a positive impact on society and future generations?
Looking ahead, I hope technology will make sports truly accessible to everyone, regardless of physical limitations or economic background. I envision a future where virtual and physical sports blend seamlessly, creating new forms of competition that emphasize both mental and physical skills. In China, we're already seeing how e-sports and traditional sports are converging. But more importantly, I hope sports will help bridge the growing digital divide, using technology to connect people rather than isolate them. Maybe we'll have global competitions where teams from different countries compete in hybrid sports that combine physical activity with problem solving, promoting both international cooperation and healthy competition.
In 20 years, I hope sports will have evolved to become a more powerful tool for education and cultural understanding. I dream of a future where every child, regardless of gender or background, has access to quality sports education. In Morocco, we're already seeing positive changes in attitudes toward women in sports, and I hope this continues globally. I envision sports programs that not only develop physical skills but also promote emotional intelligence, cultural awareness, and environmental responsibility. Perhaps we'll have international youth programs where sports serve as a universal language, helping children from different cultures learn from and understand each other.
My hope for the future is that sports will help address global health challenges and promote sustainable living. As a chef, I see how sports can influence healthy eating habits and cultural appreciation. In 20 years, I hope we'll have sports programs that integrate physical activity with nutrition education and cultural exchange. Imagine international competitions that celebrate not just athletic achievement but also sustainable living practices and cultural diversity. In Brazil, we're starting to see this integration in some community programs, and I hope it becomes a global trend. Sports could become a powerful tool for promoting both personal and planetary health.
Looking ahead, I hope sports will evolve to become more inclusive and creative. As a designer, I envision sports that blend artistic expression with physical activity, making them appealing to people who might not be traditionally athletic. In Japan, we're already experimenting with this through events that combine sports with visual arts and technology. In 20 years, perhaps we'll have new forms of competition that value creativity and expression as much as physical prowess. I also hope sports will help address social isolation, creating new ways for people to connect meaningfully in an increasingly digital world.
In 2 decades, I hope sports will have become a leading force in environmental conservation and community building. As someone who works in adventure tourism, I dream of a future where sports events actively contribute to habitat preservation and environmental education. Perhaps major sporting events will be judged not just on their athletic merit but on their environmental impact and contribution to local communities. In Slovenia, we're developing models for sustainable sports tourism, and I hope these practices become standard worldwide. Sports could become a powerful tool for teaching future generations about the importance of preserving our natural environment.
20 years from now, I hope sports will have evolved to become a major driver of social and environmental change. As an environmental science student, I envision sports facilities that are completely sustainable, powered by renewable energy and designed to enhance local ecosystems. Perhaps future sports will combine athletic achievement with social activism, creating a new generation of athlete advocates who use their platform to drive positive change in the world.
That's all for today's daily English room conversation practice. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, like, leave a comment, and hit the subscribe button. See you next time.